signed by the legendary Scott Symon in 1967, the same year Rangers would lose the Cup Winners' Cup final to Bayern Munich. You would play 319 games for Rangers, 33 goals, 25 of which were penalties. Only 6 bookings, which I find is incredible for a defender. 1 red card. You won every domestic trophy multiple times. What did it mean to you to be a Rangers player?
Well, at that time it meant everything. I was actually born in Anderson. The old Daily Record offices used to be in Lansfield Street. So I stayed there till I was 4, and then I moved to Drumchapel. But at the bottom of Lansfield Street in Anderson was the Govan Ferry. Took you across. So my dad and his brothers and his father and his brothers were all Rangers daft. So we used to go to the Rangers sports. Every year there would be 5-a-side within the Rangers sports, so we'd watch that. It was my sort of first going to a game, and then my dad would take me to games. Sometimes he would say, "No, you're too wee." I was only a young boy, so I'd get taken. My brother and I would get taken along to Rangers sports. You see the 5-a-side tournament: Rangers, Celtic, Thistle, Thurlanark. And then I got the opportunity to join them. It was a big thing. You know, it came for a young schoolboy wanting to be a player. I worked in shipyards for a year and a half. And my apprenticeship as an apprentice electrician, John Brown's, when they were building a QE2. And I got the opportunity, and I think that's what drove me on. I just looked at the gates and I said, the day I left on the Friday, I says, I won't be back here. And that's what, I was a provisional signing for 4.5 months to my team went out at Scottish Cup. And I joined in January, 2 weeks before the Berwick Rangers.
So John Brown's to Ibrox, where you truly launched your career.
Yeah. It was so...
What was Rangers as a club like?
Well, it was an institution.
I mean, Scot Symon.
It was an institution. I mean, he called everybody first names, you know, he never nicknames of that. He called Baxter James, always called Jimmy Baxter James, and he would come to the training across the road for Ibrox with a coat on and just his shoes and watch it with his trilby hat.
Immaculate.
Immaculate. You know, Mr. Symon this, Mr. Symon that. And
did he have a real presence, real authority?
He had a presence, but he had a hard streak. You know, he was a player himself, and he was a hard player. So he had a hard streak, but there was rules. The rule was you couldn't. I was in the reserve team dressing room, which was the away dressing room, and then the home dressing room. Now you couldn't go into the home dressing room without being invited.
For any reason?
Any reason. You chapped the door, and if nobody answered and said, come in, you didn't go in. You just went away again.
Really?
And they had a table tennis room, and if you were playing table tennis, 2 reserve players are playing table tennis, and you're a first team player and you walk in the room, I just put the bat down and sit at the side and watch your game. That was just so, you know. And they used to make it, used to use the St Enoch's Hotel. So if you were in the first team or the reserves, you were allowed to go on a Saturday evening after the game and get a meal with you and your girlfriend or your wife, no matter. You always had to leave 2 and 6, and it was £0.5 you had to leave as a tip. But if you were in the third team, you couldn't go. And I remember once I was in the reserves and about 5 of the third team boys were all, because Symon never came near it, but this night he walked in and 5 of them were sitting eating a meal. You see me on Monday morning. So it was strange like that, and you always had to have collar and tie. In my time, 2 players got sent home. Was Alec Willoughby, who was like a bandbox every day with Alec, was always immaculate. And he got caught, he was at his girlfriend's house and the fog came in, he couldn't drive home, so he had to go the next day with a Polo, and Jim Baxter was the same. He gets sent back, and they used to say, come back when you're properly attired. Now, I believe I'm right, and the boy Basil Bolly were under Walter Smith in Sooners. He did the exact same. He came in with a polo neck and got sent home. The next day he came in, the crew neck top, no tie, sent home again. And the third day, I believe he came in with a morning suit with a top hat and a dicky bow. And all the boys burst out laughing under Walter's regime. But I don't know if it's still that way, but it was for my whole 17 years, collar and tie every morning. Because when Bill Struth was the manager, he had a pal that stayed just round the corner for Ibrox in Copeland Road, and he would sit in there and get a cup of tea in the morning and watch the players coming. And if they didn't have the bowler hat on, they would get told, "You find your." So it was just rules and regulations.
What I find extraordinary with you, Alex, through your time as a Rangers player, the managerial record. You were telling me off camera, the managers in the club's history. What was there? There was only 7, and you played for 5 of them.
Yeah, the day I left Rangers Football Club, there had only been 7 managers in their history, and I had played under 5 of them. Yeah.
Even now, for you to say you played for Scott Symon, you were signed by Scott Symon, how does that make you feel?
Oh, delighted. Actually, I could tell you a funny story. His nephew used to run Bentley garage in Edinburgh, but he's now in California. And I won a raffle ticket at a Rangers function. I came up for Liverpool and was at the Rangers function. And I won a raffle. I won a prize in the raffle, and the prize was a Bentley for a day. So I had to go there. His name was Scot Symon. And when I went to the showroom in Edinburgh, I said to him, "Do you have any relation? Are you any relation to the Scot Symon?" He says, "That was my grandfather's brother or something. Some relation that way." And I said, "Well, I've won this Bentley." He says, "Well, take your pick." So I got to take my pick, and it was a Friday. I had to collect it. And he said, "Look, we're busy Saturday and Sunday." He says, just return it on Monday. So he gave me it on a Friday to return to Monday. He gave me a petrol card. He says it eats up the petrol a wee bit. Here, take that. So me and my wife we went all over the place. We went to Crumlick's house, Andy Murray's place, for lunch on the Saturday. We went to the place, what's the name of the hotel down by Glasgow Airport?
The Holiday Inn?
No.
Oh, the Mar Hall.
We went there on the Friday night for lunch. We went to Gullen on the Friday afternoon.
You were properly lording it.
I went right all over.
I've got this car, I'm going to maximise it.
But it was fantastic.
I mean, you make your Rangers debut at 19, 1969, would that be the case?
Yeah.
Now, as I say, you won every domestic trophy several times, but within that there was some real disappointments for you, Alec. Now,
Cup Winners' Cup final,
but
major.
Of course, but prior to that was the awful Ibrox disaster, January 1971, Alex.
Yeah.
You were in the main stand that day.
Yeah, well, what happened was I had, the start of the season, August, we played Motherwell in the League Cup at Fir Park, and unfortunately Willie Matheson got injured, and they were deciding who could play left back, and I overheard the coaching staff and the manager speaking about that, and I told them that I could play left back, but I'd never played left back, but I was just a young boy, so I was desperate to play. So I went on and I played all the games up to that day, the Ibrox disaster, and they left me out. And I think it might have been a good thing as far as my family's concerned, because my brother was at the game, and because I wasn't playing, he was with a group of guys, 10 of them, that I'd sold the tickets to. And he left because he was going to a party that night, and he left about 7 minutes before the end of the game, and 3 out of the 10 never come back. And my juvenile manager, Johnny Gardner, who used to take Clydebank strollers for 3 years, I played for Johnny. He unfortunately died. So
there were 66 fans who tragically died that the Alex Rangers Celtic game.
We went to all the funerals. You know, you would go in the morning and the manager would say, "Right, you have to attend these 6 funerals." But you know yourself, you don't know the person. But the minute you go into the environment, my heart went out to him, because you've got a wife that's got 2 young kids, and she's just lost her husband. Where does she go from there? How do you recover from that? And it was heartbreaking, and that's how the Scottish League weren't going to cancel the game. And Waddle told them, you can't. Our players are under so much stress here. I don't think we played for 2 weeks. I think it was a 2-week.
See, even the memory of it now, Alex, does it still affect you thinking about it?
Oh, definitely, because it's so, to go to a football match and you don't come home, you know, and your kids, you know, your kids are waiting. I mean, I know when my boys were so small they could hardly speak, my oldest boy would be, "Daddy, car ball." That was one of the first words he could say. "Daddy's car's away at the football." You know, it's very difficult. And how disruptive to a home life, and how people can manage, and it must have been horrendous. I mean, touch wood, I was never involved in the sharp end of it, but how people survived in it was horrendous. And the same with the '96 at Liverpool.